Call the school committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Next item is Citizens Forum. Anyone for Citizens Forum? Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's the minutes of October 22nd, a new operating system for Kristen's PC.
How about we'll turn the volume off? There we go.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it started, and I just want to get the volume down.
Can't get to it.
Minutes of October 22nd, bill schedules of October 25 and November 1.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
I do not.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Next item is number 5, a student update. We should have some students.
Welcome.
And because most of Sutton is watching on television live, can you just do a little introduction of who you are too, and then read whatever's on that iPhone?
Sure. Okay, I'm Sophie Briggs. I'm a senior at Sutton High School.
I'm Nora Garvey, and I'm also a senior at Sutton High School.
What's going on?
So for sports, today we have soccer, boys and girls, playoffs playing at Foley Stadium. Field hockey has finished their season, and volleyball has their second round of playoffs versus Whitensville Christian tomorrow. Cross country has districts on Saturday, and depending on how each of us do, some might go to states. We don't know.
Okay, we have a blood drive coming up on Wednesday, run by Grace Mulvihill and Kylie Ford at our school with the Red Cross. We're also, okay, I'll get to that after. Humanities had their first field trip this year, and their topic this time was youth movements in history. And then, so this is something kind of big that we're having soon, that we're preparing for. In March, Connections, which is a group at our school that we have that's trained by the Anti-Defamation League to facilitate discussions about racism, sexism, homophobia, all the identity-based discrimination. We're holding a conference. So it's going to be a bunch of teachers and mostly student-led workshops about different things that we've been learning with the Anti-Defamation League to kind of educate everyone else around about what Connections does. And we have 21 schools from across the entire state that have said yes. So we're as close as Nipmunk, and we're as far to Norwell, which is South Shore Boston, and Frontier Tech, which is in South Deerfield, for this conference. And I took it upon myself to make this part of my innovations project. So I'm going to be working with Ms. Moe, Mr. McCarthy to make this conference happen and get speakers and things like that for this conference. So I'm making that part of my innovations project for this year.
What was the date you're doing that again?
It's in March. I don't remember the exact date, but I know that it's in March, before seniors leave for internships too. So a lot of us will be able to take part in it. And we're asking about 10 to 15 members per school. So we're going to have a lot of people at our conference. So we're very excited to kind of educate people what Connections is all about.
This past week, the freshmen, they did the Break Free from Depression curriculum with Ms. Brousseau, Mr. Zook, and Mr. Gillen. So all week during their health classes, they spent learning about the issues that some high school kids experience.
And then I guess we were going to both talk a little bit about our experience applying for college, because just to give you guys an idea of where guidance is with that.
That's the question I was going to go to. So tell us about how that's going.
Sure. I'm done. So I've applied to all 6 of my schools that I wanted to apply to. And it was a pretty easy process because guidance has been really helpful, helping us when we need help for things. Once the beginning of the year kind of ended, the first couple of weeks where they talked to us a lot about the Common App, they really encouraged us to make personal appointments with each counselor so that they could help us individually. So I had a couple guidance appointments, and Miss Miller just helped me with like getting letters of recommendation, making sure that I fill out the right forms, because I learned that not only do you have to complete FAFSA forms, but for other colleges there are other specific forms that you need to fill out for financial aid, and just like helping my parents go through that process too. So that was really helpful. So yeah, I'm applied to 6 schools and I'm very excited.
I am not done applying for schools. I'm working on it, I know. My first one's due next week, so we're close. But I ended up sharing my Common App with Miss Miller, who's my guidance counselor, and the next morning I had an email from her saying she had already had things that she wanted to help me fix to make it better. So they're very up to date and trying to keep the process moving along, when some of us are a little slower at doing stuff than others.
What are things that, as you've gone through it, are surprising, shocking? Number of forms? Yeah.
Supplemental writing for some colleges. I applied to University of Connecticut, and I'm applying to their pre-medical program, and I had to write 3 650-word, which is like longer than our personal college essays for that program. So I wasn't expecting that at the beginning, because when I first had it set up, I wasn't all filled out yet. And then as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, my deadline is November 1st, and I have 3 days to write all of these essays. So eventually it worked out, but that was super unexpected.
What I thought was kind of unexpected was not how relatively easy the process was. I didn't think it was that difficult, and I'm the 4th of 4 children, so it seemed like a big issue for my older siblings, but didn't seem like it was.
That's probably a good thing to bring up during Thanksgiving. How easy it is for you. Things that you thought, boy, I was particularly well prepared for, or things we might have warned you about early on?
Again, the writing. I was super prepared for anything that I was supposed to write about. I will say Mr. Marcucci is probably one of the best teachers I've had in my entire high school career. He was my AP language teacher last year, and he really, really taught me to be a better writer from beginning of the year to end of the year. Have lots of essays that we wrote in class just to prepare for the AP exam. And honestly, I think if I didn't have him as a teacher, I wouldn't be as good of a writer as I am. So honestly, the writing is something I was super prepared for because of that class.
And the college essay, we wrote one at the end of junior year with Mr. Marcucci, which also helped to speed up the process of actually writing one. So either you made edits or you went built off of that, so it made that a little bit easier.
Yeah.
All juniors write their college essay, or at
That
least a
take
draft of their
AP
college
line,
essay at the end of their junior year in any class.
Unless they need another 1,200 words.
Well, that's different.
And the supplemental writings weren't that bad. It was just like personal questions, like, tell us why you're excited to go to this college. Tell us what inspired you to go into medicine, because that's what I wanted to do. So it was not too bad.
It wasn't one that's why you don't want to use a Massachusetts school, you want to go to Connecticut. Or
Well, I applied mostly to Massachusetts schools, but that was the one I had to write the most for. So
That's great.
Besides college applications, what's the talk of the school? Just getting through.
that's a tough one. It's a tough question.
It's okay if nothing's really
I was
the
gonna-
talk.
I-
That's
so
okay.
I was gonna say classes are going like as usual. There's not anything like crazy going on right now. So
Pretty excited about the vote tomorrow.
yeah, I've been doing a lot of research. I'm not old enough to vote yet, but I'm pre-registered. So
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
that's about
No,
it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Next item is the girls' basketball field trip.
Yes, so this is the annual trip. This is I believe our 7th year going on this trip. They go to St. Joe's down in Bristol, Connecticut. They compete. They also have tours of various schools. They leave here on Friday at about noontime. We bus them down there, and we bus them back, but when they're there, the parents commute the kids to the different gymnasiums.
As you say, we've done this for a whole host of years. We look for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the annual varsity girls basketball field trip to Bristol, Connecticut as presented.
So,
Second.
second.
Other questions or
it's always been a good trip.
Trip,
We've always
yeah.
gotten really good feedback. The chance to visit at least one college has always been nice too, so.
Yeah, I think it's great the way they tie the two, getting a chance to see the schools as well as the basketball program.
It's great for camaraderie and building, and it's early.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Next item is a budget update.
Hello.
Hello.
In your packet, you'll find the FY19 year-to-date budget. And there's a couple things that I just wanted to bring to your attention. The first one is on page 24 for the IT hardware for the middle school. This line item shows an overage of $1,509.90. This item is actually not over, as the supplies were budgeted in middle school classroom supplies. They're for 3 iPads, one for the library and 2 for the library and 1 for an ELL student. So I would like to request approval for a budget transfer from middle school classroom supplies to instructional hardware in the middle school for $1,509.90.
Excellent. Do you want to do that first, or do we want to finish with the?
You want me to keep going, or do you want to, it's up to you.
Knock them off.
Yeah, if that's the only motion we anticipate.
Is that the only one you
The
anticipate?
only one I know.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfer in the amount of $1,509.90 from the middle school classroom supplies account to the instructional hardware account as presented.
Second.
Any questions on that specifically?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. What else is going on in the budget?
Thank you. And I also wanted to mention to you, at the last meeting, I mentioned that the line item for Med Therapeutic for out-of-district students was gonna be over budget by approximately $44,000 due to an aid in transportation for an out-of-district student. And looking at this line item more, we now know it's not gonna be over budget, as we will be taking the funds from out-of-district tuitions. So I just wanted to update you on that. And
So no change in the cost, just in the line that
no,
it's being
just the line item.
supported
Yeah.
by.
Yeah. And the last thing I just wanted to mention was at a prior meeting, it was mentioned, it would be nice to have the budget put into Excel, and you could kind of filter it. So I've been playing with that, and I'm gonna send that to you tomorrow.
Okay.
So take a look at it and, let me know if you like, what
Right.
your thoughts are with it, if you like it, if it's
I think that's
something you would,
That'd be great.
keep doing.
yeah, fantastic. And
Yeah.
and if you have feedback prior to a meeting, make sure we get it back to Nancy. But I would say, as we start to learn things, let's just be cognizant of conversations pertinent to what we're learning from the budget would be at a meeting. Super.
I don't have any other updates unless anyone has any questions.
Questions?
The other thing you'll see is this is what Nancy's gonna just keep a log of all the things we talk about throughout the year, so that we have it in front of us, that it's just a constant reminder, so you know we don't miss anything.
That's super, because otherwise I have to go back to all the agendas and say, oh yeah, here it was
Yeah.
where it happened.
And so far so good. I mean, the budget's going along just fine.
It's early.
It's early, yes, for the moment.
I got a quick question. It has to do with custodians.
Yep.
I'm trying to find my little box here. So we're over budget already for overtime for them?
No,
Okay.
no, I would assume what you're looking at is all the overtime is budgeted under custodial, but I think I think she's
Oh, you
thinking
know what it
of,
might be, it's actually in a custodian subs page. Wait a minute, let me see, what page am I on? I'm on 40.
Okay. Oh, that's not just, that, has to do with the help over the summer.
Okay,
So
So-
if you take all 4 custodian line items for the summer work.
And add it,
for
okay.
each school, and add those categories together, you won't be over. it's that particular school that.
So
went over, but
you're just
overall
pulling
it's
from
not
one
over.
common pool,
Correct,
which I like one common pool.
yeah.
Sorry.
If you take it from the one pool, you're not
Okay.
over.
Super.
Good?
All right.
All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy.
Next item on the agenda is a special education update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Evening.
Welcome.
Just have a few little updates. I always start you out with what our special education enrollment looks like. Our district enrollment, this was as of October 1st, was 1,422 students in the district. And that puts our special education numbers at 17.8%. Those numbers include all the way from our youngest students, pre-K, through our super seniors. Those are the kids who are working on transition and vocational skills until their 22nd birthday, as well as the out-of-district students. So that percentage stays pretty much the same. We haven't had too much variation in that. One of the things we did this year is we dissected the numbers a little bit, looking at them grade by grade to track the trends, kind of looking at possible needs within our continuum of services. And if you took a look at our grade by grade analysis, you might have noticed that the pre-K is a large percentage in special education. And somebody asked me about it, and I thought I would point out that is because our pre-K program is a special education program. The reason that we have a pre-K program is because of special education. We also noticed a jump in the special education services in our middle elementary grades 3, 4, 5. So this led Superintendent Friend to organize a curriculum vision committee, and that's consisting of the district administrators, teachers from the building, parents, and they're working together to look at what and how the district offers in the curriculum at each school, and places where we might be able to make some changes, some good effect, provide improvement, without the budgetary impact. So just kind of looking at it overall, just different lenses looking at it from all sides. Administrators are reporting back to Mr. Friend with their school-specific ideas, and we continue to meet on that. One of the things that I like to talk to you every year about is our special education parents committee. We're mandated by Massachusetts to create a district-wide parent advisory council that offers membership to parents of special education students. They can meet as often as they find fit, and one of their duties might be to advise the district on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities. And also meet with school officials, including the school committee, talking about things that they see as needs within the programs in special education. The other thing that the mandate directs is that we have to offer a workshop annually within the school district on the rights of students and their parents and guardians under state and federal special education laws. We don't have a date set up for that yet. We've only had one meeting this year in order to organize. As in the past few years, it's a small group that's developing. They continue to support teachers with a wish list item for their classrooms, by having small fundraisers. The next meeting they're having is on Wednesday, November 14th at 6:30 in the elementary library, and all interested parties are cordially invited to attend.
Sorry, what was, do the date again, time?
November 14th, Wednesday, at 6:30 in the elementary library. And the last piece that I bring your attention to is that we We are in the midst of our tiered focus monitoring. Most of you may be more familiar with the name Coordinated Program Review, CPR. So DESE will be visiting the Sutton schools to conduct their tiered focus monitoring. They'll be looking at special education, civil rights, English learner education, and education stability during the week of May 13th, 2019. Already all required self-study information has been submitted last May. The visit will be shorter than in past reviews. They're looking at areas this time: vocational opportunities, transition planning, response to bullying, timelines in special education, our district curriculum accommodation plans, how we monitor our out-of-district students, pre-K programming. Amy Krukonis is our review chairperson from DESE, and she's been in contact with me and has identified May 19th, Friday, May 19th, as the date of the site visit. Mr. Friend and I will be participating in a training via phone conference on March 19th to prepare for this visit. I may have more specifics in the spring when I come in with a review.
Is that something that Bruce will have to be available, or?
I don't, generally speaking, the CPR tiered program review, we haven't had to have the school committee involved that I remember. This is my third, I believe, in my career. It's much more, it used to be a gotcha, and now it's more of a support. A lot of what we do is we send them the files beforehand, they review them, then they come out and actually make sure that what we put in the files actually exists. And so it's a fine process. But it does take an entire week of Karen's time and then all the preparation time, which is, several months of gathering all the documents, but it is what it is. But I don't think Bruce will have to do anything.
Any other questions?
The workshop, you mentioned the date. You haven't set a date for the workshop yet, is that right?
Right. The Parents' Right workshop. A lot of times we join with other school districts just so that the crowd is larger, because the speaker that comes in is usually from the Federation for Children, special education students, and they come and present. So when we join with there's a larger crowd rather than maybe just a handful from Sutton.
This wouldn't occur until January or after at this point, or?
Most likely. Most likely.
We shared last year, correct? We got together with.
We did. We were teaming up with Grafton and Millbury and Auburn and Sutton.
The only other question I'd had, remind me again, the numbers aren't all necessarily IEPs. It's just a student that gets some element of services. Is that true or no?
No, the 17.8 would be students on IEPs.
On IEPs, okay.
But it could be.
For 1
Very-
hour of takeout
right,
or?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Could be a simple OT issue, speech issue, a variety of issues, obviously.
And any of the services you're providing would be based off an IEP, or are there some students who are getting extra services that aren't?
It's like 504s, and is that part of that as well?
There's some students who, through our response to intervention programs throughout the school, might get a 6 to 8 week portion, and then as that's going on, the therapist may be looking to see, well, do we need to assess further? Is there something else we should be looking at? Or maybe it's just a quick fix and the student picks up the skill that they were a little bit deficient in.
Great.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
There's our fun part, policies.
Karen's going to stick around for the executive session.
That's just because she wants to hear us talk about policies too.
Yeah.
Okay. This,
Said there's that fun spot.
this,
Spot, you know?
hopefully,
I have, the next item on the agenda is first reading on 4 policies. They're in the packet and on the internet with red lines in them. So if you haven't seen, here's the first warning and then the second reading. If you're in disagreement with or want to change beside the redlining. And if you want to help us understand what you're redlining.
So they've added pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions as a standard non-discrimination category. And I would also say that, I talked to Di about this, I would keep homeless. I would not have the line through homeless. I would keep that. But it's just something that's part of the standard non-discrimination that is recommended by DESE, and obviously there are legal references below to why we have those categories.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
We make pronouns and subjects match, please. Last sentence of the paragraph.
Which, are you on the non-discrimination?
Non-discrimination first, yeah.
Where it says pregnancy or
No,
pregnancy
the very
related?
it's the very last sentence.
Where it says JB equal education opportunities?
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, of the actual paragraph.
If someone has a complaint,
If someone has a complaint, he or she instead of they. So it's just changing they and their out to his or hers. Or ones, if you want to eliminate
If someone has a
gender
complaint,
completely.
where they feel they have been discriminated against, their complaint should be registered. And what are you saying to do?
So you need match of, all right, so someone, then if it's someone, then it should be he, she, or one.
Can you?
So what
can
would
you
it
help
take
us
to
by
change
actually-
someone?
Sure,
Sorry.
so if someone has a complaint or feels that he/she has been discriminated against because of her/his race, color, her complaint should be registered.
Does anybody have a concern? Because what I'm going to suggest is, can you mark that rather than us trying to catch it
Yeah.
up? And I don't think anybody's got a concern.
It's just, if,
What's that?
and legal minds went through this, okay? See,
All I
So-
want to say is, if you want to mark it, there isn't going to be any
Yeah.
complaint.
No,
By the
no.
second reading, if you guys can get the
yeah,
marking.
it's just a matter of making sense. That's, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
To all stay. And then the portion where we're listing race, color, sex, gender, if we have it here one way, we should follow it through to, I forget, one of the other ones lists the same things.
You have a way you like better or worse?
No, I just want to make sure if this one has got all these listed, that the exact same ones appear on the other one that we're gonna go over. Does that make sense?
On GBA.
Yeah, that was the one. Just that they match.
The next policy, ADB, which is tobacco products on school premises prohibited. This is obviously already in the student handbook. What you've added here, includes electronic cigarettes, and those types of products which are new to the marketplace. And so,
It's any nicotine-containing product.
correct.
Okay.
So it's just spelling out specifically, it's already our practice. By the way, these policies are already our policies, these are just being updated. Same with the next one, equal employment opportunity. We will look at what you just said to see to try to make sure that these line up, these non-discrimination language lines up, so it's consistent throughout our policies. And again, this is just, we need to give everybody an equal opportunity to be employed in Sutton Public Schools. And then the evaluation of staff really just cleans up a little bit of the language. We evaluate all of our staff. Obviously, teachers have a very prescribed evaluation process, but we have an evaluation process for all other employees. It's a standard form that we use, so everybody's evaluated in the district. This is just a change in language.
So 4 policies, all of which already existed. There are red lines in them. They're available on the web. Non-discrimination, tobacco, equal opportunity, and evaluation of support staff. We've got, Kristen's going to make the, just the
I've
red
already got
line
them in
adjustments.
little comments boxes. So you
Excellent.
can-
And you're going to capture to make sure that the list of groups are the same.
Yes.
We do 2 more meetings, so folks have plenty of time to pull them down, read, and get comment.
Good.
Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's update.
Thank you. So first, generally speaking, we don't have a second meeting this month. I don't know if anybody wants a second meeting this month. If you have anything specific.
It would end up having to be the week after Thanksgiving, right? Right at the edge of
The
the month. and
following
right
week.
before-
The end of the
Like a
month.
week before
Yeah.
the next meeting, right?
Right.
Before the first December meeting.
You'll have a conversation with Bruce, and if he's
Okay.
feels otherwise.
All right.
Maybe after you do, Di, can you just send us a reminder which way it's gone and make sure that if it's posted downstairs, we get it updated?
Last week was Halloween, so Little Kid Land was, actually, the whole place was abuzz. I mean, the high school did trick or treating, so I think it was one of those, and I fully support. If you can't beat them, join them. So it's a good day. It's funny. The PTO then does their kids' night out. That was on the 19th. Then we had trunk or treat that night. So it was great. A lot of fun things for our little ones. The kindergarten did their parade on the 31st. We received, the elementary received a PTO grant for $1,000 for chapter books for grade 3. And our first Chalk Talk will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, so be looking for that. Obviously, at the middle school, STEM week was a huge success. The Commissioner of Education came. We had 265 visitors at our STEM showcase, so it was a great, great day. The only tough thing was, I mean, it just happens, but with all the horrible weather, some of our students that did cross country had to leave a little early and weren't able to participate. But those are the things that happen. But what an incredible opportunity for our district. They're already looking at ways to make it better the following year. So pretty exciting stuff. I was saying to someone earlier, you go through the middle school that week and the energy in that building was just crazy, but it was a lot. And I think everybody was pretty tired at the end of the week. Then you come back the next week, and you walk through and it's just, the normal sounds of school. So I'd like to see maybe a more of a fluid approach to learning so that each week there are those really exciting times. And there are, don't get me wrong, but that energy was amazing. So congratulations to the middle school, especially to Vanessa Hurley, who did so much work to pull that up, and all the staff. They all chipped in. The CSL group at the middle school raised $600 for the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and now they're working on treats for troops. So good for the middle school. The high school started this week. The counseling team implemented the Break Free from Depression curriculum for all 9th graders. This is a big focus for our district. And then Sophie mentioned the Connections Club. I mean, that is a pretty exciting thing when Mr. McCarthy put that out. We're going to have several hundred students and teachers from across everywhere. It's, and kudos to our high school for doing this work, the Anti-Defamation League for their work, training our students. I did promise that I'd figure out how to pay for everybody's lunch, so I'll be bringing that plan to you all of your attention. But I think when you host something like this, we want to be a host, and we want to have people come in and just, see the good work that's happening in our school, and it's pretty exciting. Mr. McCarthy and I, we attended the Blackstone Valley Superintendent's meeting. We met once, and we talked about how we can share resources, and the overwhelming response from the superintendents that they wanted to have a meeting right away. So we had that on November 2nd in Douglas. And we're sending out a survey, but every school seems to have something they specialize in. So the Uxbridge has all this equipment for, I think it's manufacturing engineering, and they have a program there, and they have married up with Northbridge. And so we thought, so they have the equipment, so we could do the engineering program in Sutton and then transport kids down to Uxbridge, and they'd let us use their equipment and actually build projects. And so And then you have the blended learning taking place. You have kids from other school districts sharing ideas. There's so much that can come of this. And so, and because there are limited resources, if someone's already specializing in something, and there are students that can take advantage of that. They also talked about pathways programs, and it's just another buzzword in education, but it's more of lining up coursework. So say you want to be you want to major in criminal justice. You know, in 8th grade you want to major in criminal justice. You build your portfolio of classes to line up with that type of experience. So we formed a subcommittee of some superintendents and some high school principals. We're meeting at the end of November, because one of the things we talk about is we get to these meetings and we share these ideas and they all sound great. Then we all go back to our schools, and there are 4 things that happen that you have to pay attention and deal with right away, and you quickly forget about what you talked about there. So we don't want to lose this momentum, and we're looking at a long-term, how can we better coordinate resources so that kids have different experiences. So it's really exciting. You know, it might mean that we'll come back to our committees down the road. I don't think it's going to happen right away. We'll start slowly, but you know, you run a bus down 146 every Friday, and you pick up kids and they drop them off at the different schools, and another bus comes the other way and drops kids off at other schools, and allow kids to go and experience different things. So I'll keep you posted on that. It's the exciting part of our work. Both boilers in the elementary up and running, the more mundane stuff. The public health department did come in, did an air quality test, did a complete visit. They spent 3 or 4 hours in the district, took lots of pictures. We're waiting on the report. Once the report is given to us, we'll put it on our website, and we'll share it with anybody who's interested in it, so that they know that, you know, the building is free of any carcinogens or any issues with the air quality. So based on what the person said when we met with them, he doesn't anticipate there being anything to be alarmed. He said if I thought there was something that I'd be alarmed about, the conversation would have been different. And then finally, we're in the middle of our budget season. So we sent the packet out to the principals. I had my meeting with Mr. Goyette this morning to go through his part of his budget. I met with Roger Raymond to go through his budget. And then I'll meet with the rest of the administrative team this week. So we're in very good shape. We will have our budget put together. But the part that I'm meeting with the administrators tomorrow is, what are the other things that we've been talking about that we want to look at and put in the budget? I think I mentioned this to you the last time we met. We are going to allocate resources a little bit differently, so we're not going to hire a replacement middle school teacher. We're not going to propose that. What we're going to propose is moving services down to the lower grades for potentially a reading math type position that's support for kids as they're going through the lower grades. Catch them earlier, provide more supports in lower grades. We're going to be looking at doing those things. So in the budget process, what I'm going to do is we're going to build a budget. We're going to come to you and say, so here's the budget. These are the things that we change within the current cost centers. So we're not adding a teacher in that case. We're just reallocating where the role takes place. So we'll create a cheat sheet for the committee so they see that. We're also going to put in potential positions that we think would enhance our program that we would like to include in the budget, and we can talk about how we want to do that. What I'm doing now is really taking a fine look at areas that don't affect the classroom. So for instance, electricity. We're going to reduce our electricity line by $73,000. We looked at it carefully. We've had a year of net metering. We have all the solar panels working. We feel confident that we would be able to do that. We looked at oil. We looked at custodial supplies. We looked at, we want to make sure we have enough supplies to run our school for classroom supplies. But if we can save a little bit of money there and stockpile this, not stockpile the money, but reallocate those resources to better impact the classroom, that's what we're gonna present to the committee. So that's what we're working on. And I don't know if, I think that's all I had. The other stuff is for executive session.
Questions? On the collaborating, not only is that a phenomenal idea, it just struck me as you were speaking, the notion of working with the other schools, even if you're not traveling, but getting folks used to using conference calls or even some of the video.
Video conferencing.
Yeah, I'm going to say WebEx, but it doesn't have to be a Cisco product. I mean, it's a great product, but those are skills that are directly applicable, and it's easy to discern folks who are used to using that as a collaboration medium and those who are not. So
It was exciting to hear the two principals from Northbridge and Uxbridge, and to talk about their collaboration and how the teachers now you create a network of teachers talking about teaching and learning. We haven't tapped that enough. I think we can live in our bubbles a little bit, but it's exciting. The other thing that we talked about was post-secondary opportunities in high school and working as a unit to offer some classes in the Valley at a lower cost. We've done a little bit of that with Quinsig, and some districts are doing a little bit more, but we thought that we would expand that, make those offerings.
Just on the Quinsig, is that something that is like an out of district placement? Does our school district pay for additional for seniors to go to that Quinsig program?
No, they pay for that themselves. So we have 2 seniors at Quinsig now.
Yep.
So it's, philosophically, I'm torn, because I don't know what the hurry is.
Yep.
But there are some kids that are simply ready. And having that opportunity, but they pay for that themselves. So they get 1 full year of college. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to one of the parents at the soccer game before I came here, and his daughter is there, and she really likes it. And it gives them a leg up and gives them an opportunity.
Yeah, especially in this day and age when it can cost you $52,000 a year. Why not knock off some
1
at an
year, yeah.
inexpensive credit rate?
And is that the same for the, excuse me?
Yeah, and so I just think it's a good thing, but I think that may change if you make high school a place to be, not a place to get through. Remember, it's what we
Sure.
were talking about before, just making kids excited about the stuff they're doing in high school instead of this is my stepping stone to get ultimately to where I want to be. So if we could start that early, that may shift it, but it may also enhance that. Kids may be going back and forth, but I think that's great.
Sure.
Huge. Again, it's just handling the world. So cool.
Is the WPI program that they have for juniors and seniors that you can, I forget what it's called.
That's the Math Science Academy. That's
Yeah.
also a public school.
So that is, if you get accepted into that, that is,
Yes,
you're not
junior
paying
and
out of your
senior.
own pocket.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's a 100% public partnership with WPI. It's a great program as well. There's lots of great opportunities for kids and families right now that people can take advantage of. And it's a great time to be in, for parents to have these opportunities. That particular program is,
And I think a
What
lot
an
of folks
amazing
just don't know about it.
Sure.
either. That's another big part of it is
Mhm.
that might be a
Yeah.
great fit for kids that have all the credentials and they're just not even aware that it exists.
of course, that's a very competitive program.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a limited number, and it takes in from all of Central Mass. But again, I think choice. We're giving people opportunities and choices.
I'm excited to see what happens with the collaboration, just taking a step back, because that can possibly line up with our vision committee and some of the things that we're doing there, and just allow the Valley to have better opportunities and really share resources.
So we become
And
like
you
a-
can learn from the best of the best in things, which is great.
And,
Right.
and not just with students either, is once there's communication
Oh,
through teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's professional development days that are more relevant for this group of teachers from these 4 schools, and professional development.
And we do that now, but what the process you're describing, it's much more organic. It is driven by what's happening between them and not what is offered to them, and that's a different feel for PD. It's, you can see, and and again, I don't want to overplay this, but you can see where with 13 or 14 towns, that if each town put in $15,000 or something like that, and you had someone that oversaw the program, look at what happened with our internship program. We gave Mr. Marcucci 2 periods. You've got now 80, 90 students every year doing this amazing internship program. It's just,
And that's huge. You want the staff excited too.
yes.
Exactly.
Wow.
Excited.
Again, it's all about
Excited
passion,
staff
and
do
that's what I
excellent
want,
teaching.
because, yeah, if you've got somebody who is excited about what they're teaching, the kids will know it, and the kids will get a lot more out of it.
Right.
Huge, right?
Absolutely.
Earth-shattering.
And you see that.
Get a good
know.
teacher.
New business,
He's excited.
agenda items, action items.
I just want to bring up, everybody should vote tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
What's the procedures in the school, anything?
So we clear out the front parking lot for people that are voting. There'll be, you'll have escorts in the building, so you'll come in the door toward the gymnasium door. There'll be signs, and there'll be escorts of students that'll be working throughout the school day to escort folks in. You vote in the small gym. It's all very well organized. It's all set up and ready to go first thing tomorrow morning.
So there'll be signs up?
There'll be signs. You go in the main entrance. There'll be police. There'll be 2 police out front directing traffic. So, the one thing that came out of this, and these bigger elections, the every other year election, we probably should move our PD day to election day. It's just the sheer volume. We've talked about it, and then you look at November and how choppy it is. But the sheer volume, there's this, you have a nurse's station right there. You have some things that, but that's down the road. That's 2 years away when the big election comes up again, but we're all set.
And speaking of PD Day, this Friday, no school, just a reminder. And then I think Wednesday night is DLT? Is it this Wednesday?
No, we changed it.
Okay, it got
We
pushed out.
moved that, just look-
November 28th.
Yes, November
Okay.
28th,
Thank you.
yes. And those are public meetings, and they're all on the website.
What did you say about school on Friday? Nate?
There's no school Friday. Right?
Well,
No.
there's
Friday
school on
is-
Friday.
There is school on Friday.
Yeah, just a reminder that we do have school on
Sorry.
Friday.
We do have school on Friday, yes.
I was
Take
so
that.
excited.
I got the
Eighth.
wrong message.
The 8th is a half day. The 8th is, this Thursday is half-day parent
Like,
conferences.
that's not the way I read it.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm principal for the day at the high school, so I'm not getting that day off. All right. All the kids are going, oh, we're not at school Friday. Nate said it.
Anything else?
I have been peeking at Twitter, and the girls have won 5-1, Sutton girls soccer, and the boys won 5-0.
Excellent. Congratulations.
5's the number.
5 is the lucky number.
And let's hope no one
And
gets sick.
Field hockey tomorrow, I think.
Field hockey tomorrow, and then volleyball, I don't know when volleyball.
And cross-country on Saturday.
Saturday, yes, it's that time of the year. Very busy.
I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah.
You want to read it, or you want?
I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations with the Sutton Education Support Association and provide an update on an out-of-district placement and not reconvene in open session.
So moved.
This is,
Second. It's one of those days.
either one works. It's a roll call vote.
Tough eye.
Jerome, aye.
Brennan, aye.
Clark, aye.
Carries 4-0. We're going to go into executive session and won't return to open session.